The death world that terrifies even the galaxy's apex predators. Part 1. First Contact Commander Krelthaz stood on the bridge of the Imperial Vrexian vessel, Claw of Dominance, his scaled hands clasped behind his back as he stared at the view screen. The blue-green planet rotated slowly against the blackness of space, looking deceptively peaceful from this distance. "Explain again why this world requires special attention," he said to the science officer beside him. Science Officer Vesnar flicked her tongue nervously. "The planet's readings are unusual, Commander. The gravity is 1.3 times our standard. The atmosphere contains high levels of oxygen, a corrosive gas. Temperature variations span over 140 degrees. The biodiversity readings are off our charts." "You're telling me this is a Category 5 death world," Krelthaz said. His voice was flat, but his inner eyelids blinked rapidly, a sign of Vrexian stress. "Yes, Commander. And yet we've detected radio signals. Something lives there," Krelthaz hissed softly. The Vrexian Empire had conquered hundreds of worlds. They considered themselves the apex predators of the galaxy. No species had ever posed a real challenge to their might. But Category 5 death worlds were rare and typically avoided. Nothing of value could evolve in such harsh conditions. "Send a scout ship," he ordered finally. "I want to know what manner of creatures could survive such a place." 3 days later, Lieutenant Zexvol's scout ship entered Earth's atmosphere. Warning alerts filled the cockpit as the ship's systems reacted to the unfamiliar conditions. "Oxygen levels dangerous," the computer warned. "Atmospheric pressure exceeding safety parameters. Gravity compensation failing." Zexvol fought the controls. His breathing labored even through his filtration mask. The ship bucked and shuddered. Something was wrong with the engines. The oxygen-rich atmosphere was affecting the fuel mixture. "Emergency landing protocols," he gasped as the ship began to spiral downward. The scout ship crashed into a dense forest in the northern region of a continent the locals called North America. The impact shattered trees and carved a long trail through the soil before coming to rest in a small clearing. Flames licked at the rear of the vessel. Zexvol was thrown against his restraints, his arm breaking with a snap. Pain shot through his body. He struggled to stay conscious as warning lights flashed around him. The ship's atmospheric seal had broken. Earth's air was leaking in. Miles away, Jack Miller was checking trail markers in the Montana wilderness when he saw the streak of fire across the sky. As a forest ranger with 15 years of experience, Jack had seen many things in these woods, but never anything like this. "What in the world?" he muttered, reaching for his radio. "Control, this is Ranger Miller. I just saw something crash about 2 miles east of Lookout Point. Might be a small aircraft. I'm going to check it out." "Copy that, Miller," came the crackling. Response: "Be careful, we'll send backup." Jack grabbed his emergency pack and his rifle, standard equipment for rangers in bear country, and began hiking toward the crash site. Smoke rose above the tree line, guiding his way. When Jack reached the clearing, he stopped short. The torn metal and strange design made it clear this was no ordinary aircraft. This was something else entirely. Something not from Earth. "Hello?" he called out, approaching cautiously. "Anyone hurt in there?" Inside the damaged scout ship, Zexvol heard the unfamiliar sound. A local life form? He dragged himself to the view screen, which flickered with static but still worked. What he saw made his blood run cold. A creature stood outside. It walked on 2 legs and had no scales, no protective armor. Its skin looked soft and vulnerable, yet it moved with confidence and carried what appeared to be a primitive projectile weapon. Most disturbing of all, it was approaching the ship without showing fear. In Vrexian understanding of the galaxy, there were predators, and there was prey. Prey showed fear. Prey ran from danger. This creature was walking toward an unknown object that had fallen from the sky. It was either incredibly stupid or the thought was too disturbing to finish. Jack circled the crashed ship, looking for a way in. He spotted what looked like a door or hatch on one side. "Hello in there," he called again. "I'm here to help if you're injured." When there was no response, Jack decided to try opening the door. He touched the strange metal and was surprised to Find it was hot, not from the crash, but as if the metal itself had a higher temperature. He pulled his hand back, his skin reddened from brief contact. Inside, Zexaval watched in disbelief. The creature was trying to enter the ship. Was it a predator after all? But then why announce its presence? No, this behavior made no sense. With no choice left, Zexaval activated the emergency door release. A hiss of escaping gas filled the cockpit as the scout ship's atmosphere mixed with Earth's. The door slid partly open, then jammed. Jack jumped, back when the door moved, then approached again. He could see movement inside. Someone was alive in there. "I'm coming in to help you," he called, pulling on his leather gloves before gripping the hot metal door. With a grunt of effort, he forced it the rest of the way open. The sight that greeted him made Jack freeze. The creature inside wasn't human. It had scaled skin, a long snout filled with sharp teeth, and clawed hands. One arm was bent at an unnatural angle. It wore some kind of uniform, and a damaged mask hung from its face. For a long moment, human and alien stared at each other. Then Jack's training took over. "You're hurt," he said, knowing the creature probably couldn't understand him. "I'm going to get you out of there before this thing explodes." Zexaval didn't understand the words, but the tone was unlike anything he expected. There was no fear, no aggression. The human was offering help. When Jack moved forward, Zexaval instinctively backed away, hitting his injured arm against the console. Pain shot through him, and he let out a hissing cry. "Easy now," Jack said, moving slowly. "I'm not going to hurt you." The human skin was burning where it touched Vrexian metal, Zexaval noticed. The natural toxins in his scales would be causing similar pain. Yet the human showed no sign of retreating. With careful movements, Jack helped Zexaval out of the crashed ship. The alien was heavier than he looked, and Jack's arms and chest burned where they made contact with the creature's scales. But he didn't let go. Once they were a safe distance from the ship, Jack set Zexaval down against a tree and opened his emergency pack. He pulled out a first aid kit and a thermal blanket. "I don't know if any of this will help you," Jack said, "but I'm going to try." As the human tended to him, Zexaval managed to activate his emergency beacon. The mothership needed to know what he had discovered. This planet wasn't just physically dangerous. Its inhabitants defied all understanding. These humans didn't act like prey, despite their vulnerable appearance. They didn't act like predators either, despite their fearlessness. They were something else entirely. Something the galaxy had never seen before, and that made Earth the most terrifying Deathworld of all. The Deathworld that terrifies even the galaxy's apex predators. Part 2. Evaluation. 3 weeks after the scout ship crash, a much larger Vrexian vessel entered Earth's orbit. Unlike the scout ship, this diplomatic cruiser had been specially modified to withstand Earth's harsh conditions. Commander Krelthaz had spent those weeks in heated debate with the Imperial Council. Some wanted to avoid Earth entirely. Others suggested destroying it from orbit. In the end, curiosity won out. The humans called the landing site neutral ground, a flat desert area in Nevada far from major cities. Armed forces surrounded the area, but kept their distance as agreed through the basic communication established with the dying scout ship's translator. Dr. Samantha Hayes checked her equipment one last time as the shuttle descended through the atmosphere. As NASA's leading xenobiologist, she had been chosen to head the scientific team that would meet the aliens. "Nervous?" asked General Frank Pierce, who stood beside her. "Terrified," Samantha admitted. "But excited too. Everything we know about life is about to change." The Vrexian shuttle landed with a hiss of hydraulics. Its surface gleamed oddly in the sunlight, the metal designed to withstand far less harsh conditions than Earth's atmosphere offered. A ramp extended, and 4 figures emerged. Samantha gasped. The aliens were taller than humans, with scaled skin in various shades of green and blue. They had long snouts filled with sharp teeth and eyes with vertical pupils. They looked like a cross between lizards and wolves walking on 2 legs. Most striking of all, they wore what appeared to be breathing apparatus and body armor that hummed with technology. "They're struggling with our atmosphere," Samantha whispered. "Look at how they move. It's like they're in pain." She was right. The Vrexians moved slowly, their normally fluid motions hampered by Earth's stronger gravity. Their breathing came in careful, measured intakes through their masks. Commander Krelthaz stepped forward. The translator device at his throat converted, his hissing speech to rough English. "We come to understand," he said. The device couldn't translate emotion, but his body language suggested caution. "Your world, unusual. You, unusual." Samantha stepped forward as planned. "Welcome to Earth."
"I am Dr. Samantha Hayes. We are honored to meet you."
The Vrexian commander seemed to study her. "You breathe poison, walk in crushing weight, survive temperature swings that would kill most species. Yet you have no protective systems. How?" Samantha smiled. "This is our home. We evolved here. Over." The next few days, the humans established a base camp around the Vrexian shuttle. Temporary buildings housed labs, meeting rooms, and living quarters. The Vrexians refused to leave their shuttle during night hours, when Earth's temperature dropped. In the main lab, Samantha showed the Vrexian science team Earth's history through fossil records, climate data, and biological samples. "Your world has tried to kill you many times," said Vesnar, the lead Vrexian scientist, as she examined evidence of the dinosaur extinction. "5 major extinctions?" "Yes," Samantha confirmed. "Life on Earth has nearly been wiped out multiple times, but it always adapts and continues." "And humans? How long have you existed?" "Modern humans? Only about 300,000 years." The Vrexian made a sound that the translator didn't catch, perhaps surprise or disbelief. "So young," Vesnar said finally. "Yet you survived ice ages, predators, disease, and our own mistakes," Samantha added, showing images of wars, pollution, and climate change. "We're not perfect, but we're resilient." On the 5th day, an incident changed everything. Keith Rogers, a Navy SEAL assigned to the security detail, was delivering equipment to the lab when he encountered Drexcon, the Vrexian security officer. "Your warriors," Drexcon said through his translator. "How do they train?" Keith shrugged. "Different ways: physical conditioning, combat techniques, survival skills, teamwork." "Combat test?" Drexcon suggested, making a gesture that needed no translation. Keith looked to Samantha, who had witnessed the exchange. She nodded cautiously. "It could help them understand us better," she said quietly. "Just be careful." A training circle was marked out in the desert sand. Humans and Vrexians gathered to watch. Commander Krelthaz observed with keen interest. "Training only," Keith confirmed. "First to 3 touches?" The Vrexian security officer nodded, removing his outer armor but keeping his breathing apparatus. Even without the armor, his scaled body looked powerful and dangerous. The Vrexians were natural predators with claws and teeth evolved for hunting. Keith wore simple training clothes. Next to the alien, he looked soft and vulnerable. Drexcon moved first, faster than the humans expected despite Earth's gravity. He lunged at Keith, clawed hand extended. But Keith wasn't where the alien expected. He had stepped aside at the last moment, letting the Vrexian's momentum carry him past. Keith tapped Drexcon on the back. "1," he said. The Vrexian turned, eyes narrowing. He approached more cautiously this time, testing Keith's defenses with quick jabs. Keith blocked most, but one caught him across the arm, drawing blood. "1," said Drexcon. The alien seemed to gain confidence, pressing his advantage. His next attack was direct and powerful. Keith dropped to the ground, sweeping his leg in a low arc that caught the Vrexian by surprise. Drexcon stumbled, and Keith was on his feet instantly, touching the alien's shoulder. "2," Keith said. Now Drexcon attacked with all his natural speed, ignoring the strain of Earth's gravity. His claws slashed toward Keith's face, faster than any human could move, but Keith had anticipated this. He didn't try to match the alien's speed. Instead, he had already started moving, rolling beneath the attack and coming up behind the Vrexian. His hand touched Drexcon's back. 3, Keith said, breathing hard but steady. The Vrexian turned slowly. "Not possible," he said. I am faster, stronger. Yes, Keith agreed. You are, but I didn't need to be faster or stronger. I just needed to understand how you would attack. Later in the command tent, Commander Krelthaz questioned his security officer. You held back? He asked. Drexcon's inner eyelids blinked rapidly. No, Commander. I used all my strength at the end. The human anticipated me, and something else. When my claw caught him, drew blood, he showed no fear, no pain. He just continued. That night, the Vrexian commander sent a private message to the Imperial Council. It contained full biological scans of humans, environmental data from Earth, and recordings of the combat exercise. The message ended with a warning. Do not judge these creatures by their appearance. They have no scales, no claws, no natural armor. They are not stronger or faster than us. But they have evolved on a world that never forgave weakness. They call it Earth. We should call it what it truly is, the most dangerous death world we have ever encountered. And its inhabitants are more terrifying than any apex predator, because they do not know they should be prey. The death world that terrifies even the galaxy's apex predators. Part 3, the Galactic Summit, the space station. Nexus 9 hung like a giant metal spider in the emptiness between star systems. Its central hub sprouted 17 long arms, each designed to house representatives from the major galactic powers. For centuries, the Galactic Council had met here to settle disputes, forge alliances, and manage the complex politics of interstellar civilization. Never before had the station prepared for visitors like these. The environmental adjustments are complete for docking arm 12, reported the Zuran station manager, his 6 eyes blinking in sequence. Though I still think the specifications must be wrong. No species could possibly survive such conditions naturally. His supervisor, a tall Moralian with gray skin, clicked her mandibles in annoyance. The Vrexians confirmed the data 3 times. The humans require higher gravity, more atmospheric pressure, and oxygen levels that would be toxic to most council members. Are they truly sending only 5 representatives, with minimal protective gear? The Zuran asked. Yes, and they requested that we not modify their quarters too much, as they wish to adapt to space conditions rather than force us to recreate their homeworld. The supervisor's tone held disbelief, but also a note of unease. Word of Earth and its inhabitants had spread quickly through the galactic community. Many dismissed the reports as exaggeration. Others felt a deep instinctive fear. The human vessel Horizon approached Nexus 9 2 days later. It was smaller than most diplomatic ships, built from a mixture of Earth technology and reverse-engineered Vrexian systems. As it docked with Army 12, observers noted its reinforced hull and unusual engine configuration. Olivia Blackwell led the human delegation down the connecting tube. As the chief diplomat for Earth's new extraterrestrial relations department, she had spent months preparing for this mission. Behind her walked Dr. Samantha Hayes, Keith Rogers, communications specialist Paul Garcia, and engineer Lisa Delgado. They wore simple environmental suits, not the full-pressure armor most species required for space travel, but lightweight, bodysuits with small breathing apparatus. Remember, Olivia said quietly to her team, most of these species evolved on worlds much gentler than Earth. What seems normal to us may shock them. Be patient and diplomatic. The first challenge came immediately. The gravity in the reception area was set to standard galactic norms, about 0.7 Earth gravity. The humans felt uncomfortably light, as if they might float away with each step. The station ambassador, a tall Moralian, greeted them formally. Welcome to Nexus 9. I am Ambassador Kral. We have prepared your quarters according to your unusual specifications. Thank you, Ambassador Kral, Olivia replied with a practiced smile. We appreciate your accommodation of our needs, and we're eager to meet the council members. As the humans were escorted to their quarters, they passed representatives from various species. Many stopped to stare. Some moved away quickly as if the humans might be dangerous. We're celebrities, Paul whispered to Lisa. Or monsters. Their quarters were located in a section of Arm 12 that had been modified to approximate Earth conditions. The gravity was still lighter than they preferred, and the air had less oxygen, but it was tolerable. They did their best, Samantha said, checking the environmental readings. We can manage here without our suits, though we might get headaches from the low oxygen. The first council session began the next day. The humans wore their environmental suits again as they entered the massive council chamber. 17 raised platforms surrounded a central speaking area. Each platform held representatives from one of the major powers. The Vrexian delegation nodded slightly to the humans, the closest thing to a friendly gesture they had shown. Supreme Counselor Jean, a Moralian with elaborately decorated mandibles, called the session to order. Today we welcome representatives from planet Earth, a newly discovered world in the Orion spiral arm. The Vrexian Empire has sponsored their petition to address the council. Olivia stepped forward to the speaking area. The light seemed to dim around her, highlighting her presence. Honorable council members, she began, I bring greetings from Earth. Our world is young in terms of space travel, but ancient in its challenges. We come seeking friendship and knowledge exchange. As Olivia spoke, Keith noticed movement in the shadows behind the Moraxian delegation's platform. The Moraxians were known as the galaxy's second most aggressive predator species, rivals to the Vrexians for centuries. He caught Paul's eye and made a subtle hand gesture. Paul nodded, shifting position slightly to get a better view of the Moraxian. Supreme Counselor Jean was responding to Olivia's introduction. Your world has been classified as a Category 5 Deathworld, yet you appear to be unarmored beings. The Council is curious how such creatures could evolve intelligence. Adaptation is our strength, Olivia replied. Earth has faced countless challenges: ice ages, asteroid impacts, supervolcanoes. Life on our world learned to adapt or perish. A Moraxian representative interrupted. Pretty words, but words mean nothing. The galaxy respects strength. What strength do humans have? Before Olivia could answer, Keith saw a Moraxian aide press something on a control panel. Instantly, his training kicked in. Everybody down, he shouted, lunging toward Olivia and pulling her to the floor just as a series of explosions rocked the chamber. The main lights failed. Emergency alarms blared. Several delegates collapsed as their environmental systems failed. They've targeted life support, Samantha gasped, checking her suit readings. Oxygen levels dropping, temperature falling. They're trying to kill everyone, not just us, Lisa said. This section of the station is depressurizing. Keith took command. Paul, stay with Olivia. Lisa, can you access the environmental controls? Samantha, we need to help the delegates whose systems have failed. While chaos erupted around them, the humans moved with practiced efficiency. On Earth, emergency drills were part of everyday life. Power failures, natural disasters, system malfunctions. Humans had procedures for everything. Lisa found an access panel and connected her portable computer to it. I can restore partial life support to this chamber, but the whole arm is damaged. Keith and Samantha moved among the fallen delegates, checking their environmental suits and making emergency repairs. The Zuran representative was unconscious, his breathing apparatus crushed. His atmosphere mix is similar to ours, Samantha said, checking her readings. He can breathe our air for a short time. She connected her suit's auxiliary oxygen supply to the Zuran's mask, saving his life. Across the chamber, Paul spotted movement. Armed Moraxians entering through a side door. Hostiles incoming, he warned. Get the delegates to the emergency shelters, Keith ordered. I'll hold them off. Using furniture as cover, Keith engaged the Moraxian attackers. His combat training, honed on Earth's brutal battlefields, proved effective even against alien opponents. By the time station security arrived, the humans had evacuated most of the council members to safety, repaired critical life support systems, and captured 2 Moraxian attackers. Hours later, in an emergency session held in a secure part of the station, Supreme Counselor Jean addressed the humans directly. We have misjudged you, the Moralian said, mandibles clicking softly. When the attack came, many of us expected you, beings from a death world, to flee, or to protect only yourselves. Instead, you risked your lives for species you barely know. Olivia bowed slightly. On Earth we have a saying. The measure of a civilization is how it treats its most vulnerable members. We would not abandon you or anyone else to die. The Vrexian representative spoke next. Now you understand why we called Earth a death world, not because of its harsh conditions, but because it created them. The council members looked at the humans with new eyes, not with fear, but with wonder. The death world that terrifies even the galaxy's apex predators. Part 4. The hunter becomes the hunted Grand Marshal. Dravkor of the Vrexian Empire stood on the command bridge of the dreadnought Inevitable Conquest, watching as his fleet of 20 warships moved into position around the blue-green planet called Earth. His scales gleamed with ceremonial oils, and his uniform bore the marks of 100 successful conquests. The council is weak, he hissed to his officers. They fail to see the threat these humans pose. A species that evolved on a death world and shows no fear? They will spread through the galaxy like a disease if we do not stop them now. The Imperial Council has not authorized this action, his second-in-command reminded him cautiously. The Imperial Council will thank me when it is done, Dravkor replied. Begin the attack. Target their largest population centers first. On Earth, the first warning came when the orbital defense satellites detected multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel. The global alert system activated immediately. In Washington, D.C., military commanders gathered in the crisis room. The screens showed the approaching Vrexian fleet. They're positioning for orbital bombardment, General Pierce said grimly. Our reverse-engineered shields won't hold against that many ships. Evacuate the cities, the president ordered. Get people to the hardened shelters and rural areas, and contact the Galactic Council immediately. Across the country, emergency alerts sounded on phones, radios, and televisions. Years of disaster drills paid off as people moved quickly to evacuation routes. Unlike many alien civilizations that built vast concentrated cities, humans had spread their populations across their continents. No single strike could cripple them. The first energy beams struck New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. Buildings crumbled. Fires spread. But the casualties were far lower than the Vrexians expected. Humans had built their infrastructure to withstand earthquakes, hurricanes, and floods. Their emergency services were practiced at responding to disasters. Grand Marshal Dravkor frowned at the reports. Their cities still function after our bombardment? Impossible. Sir, their population is dispersing rapidly, a sensor officer reported. They appear to have evacuation protocols already in place. Dravkor slammed his clawed hand on the console. Then we will send ground forces. Prepare the drop ships. Indar, Ohio. Ben Carter watched the news reports with growing anger. The high school chemistry teacher had served in the military before finding his calling in education. Now, as alien ships descended toward his quiet town of Lakeside, those old skills came rushing back. Everyone to the school basement, he told his neighbors who had gathered in his home. It's the strongest building in town, and we stocked it with emergency supplies last year. What about the military? Someone asked. When will they get here? They'll be defending bigger targets, Ben said. We need to protect ourselves until help arrives. The school basement quickly became an emergency command center. People brought whatever weapons they had, mostly hunting rifles and shotguns. Ben organized them into groups, assigning tasks based on skills. Remember, these aliens evolved on a world with less gravity and lower oxygen, he explained, recalling the public information shared after first contact. They'll be wearing environmental suits which are vulnerable. They'll expect us to run or surrender, not fight back. A former construction worker raised her hand. My crew has excavators and bulldozers. We could block the main roads, force them to come in on foot. Ben nodded. Good. Do it. And bring any construction explosives you might have. Outside Lakeside, 3 Vrexian dropships landed in the evening hours. Lieutenant Commander Yektra led 50 soldiers out into the alien environment. Despite their protective gear, they felt the crushing gravity and dense atmosphere immediately. Move quickly, Yektra ordered. Find the local leadership and eliminate them. The rest will surrender. The Vrexians advanced toward the town, weapons ready. They were the galaxy's apex predators, evolved for hunting. These soft, unarmored humans would be no match for them. But as they approached the town limits, they found the roads blocked by overturned earth-moving equipment and concrete barriers. They would need to proceed on foot through unfamiliar terrain. Standard hunting formation, Yektra commanded. Watch for ambushes. The aliens moved carefully through the darkening woods near the road. Their helmet sensors scanned for heat signatures. They found none. "Where are they?" a soldier asked. Scans showed hundreds of inhabitants. They got their answer moments later when the ground beneath their feet exploded. Homemade mines, built from fertilizer and fuel oil by Ben and his team, detonated in sequence. 3 Vrexians went down immediately. "Take cover," Yektra shouted, but there was little cover to be found in the open area. Rifle fire erupted from the tree line. The bullets weren't particularly dangerous to the armored Vrexians, but the humans weren't aiming for body shots. They targeted joints, visors, and breathing apparatus, just as Ben had instructed. 2 more Vrexians fell as their environmental systems failed, the heavy Earth atmosphere overwhelming their lungs. Yektra directed return fire at the tree line, but the humans had already moved. They were using hit-and-run tactics, striking from one position before quickly relocating. "This is not how prey behaves," Yektra hissed to himself. "They should be hiding, not attacking." The Vrexians pushed forward toward the town center, taking more casualties along the way. By the time they reached the school, only 30 soldiers remained operational. Inside the school chemistry lab, Ben and several others worked rapidly. "Pass me that hydrochloric acid," he told a former student who now worked at the town pharmacy. "And be careful with the potassium permanganate." "Are you sure this will work on aliens?" she asked. "Their suits use a filtering system similar to our gas masks," Ben explained. "These chemicals will overwhelm those filters. Non-lethal, but they won't be able to see or breathe properly." When the Vrexians breached the school doors, they were met with homemade smoke bombs that filled the corridors with thick, chemical-laden clouds. Their helmet filters clogged rapidly. "Fall back," Yektra ordered, but it was too late. Humans appeared from side rooms, armed with improvised weapons. Some threw nets made from fishing line, entangling the aliens' limbs. Others used fire extinguishers to freeze the joints of their environmental suits. Within minutes, 5 Vrexians, including Yektra, had been captured. The rest retreated in disarray. In a classroom converted to a holding area, Ben faced the captured Vrexian commander. "Why did you attack us?" he demanded. "We had a peace agreement." Yektra studied the human before him. This unarmored creature, with no natural weapons, had just defeated trained Vrexian soldiers. "Your kind is too dangerous to exist," the alien said finally. "You should have fled. Prey always flees from predators." Ben shook his head. "That's your mistake. We're not prey, and we're not predators. We're survivors. Earth hasn't allowed us the luxury of running away from threats. We face them. We adapt. We overcome." "Impossible," Yektra said. "No species chooses to fight when they could escape." "We don't always choose to fight," Ben corrected him. "But we never give up. There's a difference." As similar scenes played out across Earth, Grand Marshal Dravkor received increasingly disturbing reports. His ground forces were being defeated not just by Earth's military, but by civilians using improvised weapons and tactics. For the first time in his long career, the Grand Marshal felt something unfamiliar. Doubt. He had come to hunt prey. Instead, he had awakened a planet of creatures who didn't know how to be hunted. The Deathworld that terrifies even the galaxy's apex predators. Part 5. Deathworlders Ascendant. 6 months after the failed Vrexian invasion, the USS Horizon 2 prepared for launch from the newly constructed orbital shipyard. Unlike its predecessor, this vessel had been built using a combination of Earth technology and reverse-engineered alien systems. It was humanity's first true faster-than-light warship. Captain Alan Reeves stood on the bridge, looking out at the stars. At 45, he had spent most of his career in the Navy before being selected to command humanity's flagship. The crew of 100 represented the best Earth had to offer. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, and diplomats. Final systems check complete, Captain, reported Commander Susan Wright, his first officer. All stations report ready for departure. Alan nodded. Very good. Signal Earth Command that we are commencing our mission. The ship hummed as its engines powered up. Unlike the clunky chemical rockets of the past, these new gravity drives created a controlled distortion in space-time, allowing the vessel to slip between the stars like a fish through water. Course laid in for Nexus 9, announced the navigation officer. Estimated travel time 3 days at standard speed. Take us out, Commander, Alan ordered. Let's show the galaxy what humans can do. The Horizon 2 glided away from Earth, accelerating smoothly. When it reached the calculated distance, the FTL drive engaged. Stars blurred around them as the ship entered the strange dimension that allowed faster-than-light travel. 2 days into their journey, an alarm sounded on the bridge. Captain, we're receiving a distress signal, the communications officer reported. It's coming from a Vrexian research vessel. Alan frowned. Relations with the Vrexian Empire remained tense after the unauthorized attack on Earth. The official imperial government had disavowed Grand Marshal Dravkor's actions and executed him for treason, but many humans still distrusted the reptilian species. Put it on screen, Alan ordered. The view screen flickered to life, showing a Vrexian officer. The alien's scales were dull with stress, and damage was visible in the background. This is Science Vessel Enlightened Truth, the Vrexian said, the translator converting his hisses to English. We are under attack by Moraxian raiders. Our engines are damaged and life support is failing. Any vessels in range, please assist. The Moraxians again, Susan said quietly. They're taking advantage of the political situation to attack Vrexian ships. Alan considered his options. His orders were to proceed directly to Nexus 9 for the formal treaty signing. Helping the Vrexians could be seen as exceeding his authority. He made his decision. Plot an intercept course, inform the crew to prepare for possible combat operations. Sir? Susan looked surprised. These are the same Vrexians who attacked Earth. No, Alan corrected her. These are scientists who need help. We don't abandon people in need, no matter their species. That's what makes us human. The Horizon 2 dropped out of FTL travel near a small, rocky planet. Ahead, a Vrexian research vessel drifted, its engines dark. 2 smaller Moraxian ships circled it like predators. Scan the area, Alan ordered. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with. The Vrexian ship has suffered significant damage, reported the science officer. Life support is functioning at minimal levels. I'm reading 23 life signs. Aboard. The Moraxian vessels are armed raiders, added the tactical officer. Older model ships, but still dangerous. Alan opened a channel. Attention Moraxian vessels. This is Captain Alan Reeves of the Earth vessel Horizon 2. We are responding to a distress call. Cease your attack immediately. The response came quickly. Earth vessel, this is not your concern. The Vrexians are our enemies. Leave now or we will consider you hostile as well. Alan turned to his tactical officer. Target their weapon systems only. I want to disable, not destroy. Aye, Captain. Iker. Horizon 2 moved forward, its newly designed shields glowing as they activated. The Moraxian ships turned, focusing their attention on this new threat. Energy beams lanced out from the raiders, striking the human vessel. The shields flared but held. Return fire, Alan ordered calmly. The Horizon 2's weapons were precise, targeting the raiders' gun emplacements and engine systems. One Moraxian ship lost power to its weapons, the other suffered engine damage. They're retreating, Captain, the tactical officer reported as the raiders limped away. Let them go, Alan said. Our priority is the Vrexian vessel. Prepare boarding. Teams. Medical and engineering priority. As the human rescue teams entered the damaged Vrexian ship, they found conditions worse than expected. The life support system was failing rapidly, and many of the crew were injured. Dr. Maya Johnson, the Horizon 2's chief medical officer, worked quickly to stabilize the most critical patients. Their biology is different from ours, she explained. To her team, But the principles are the same. Stop the bleeding, maintain breathing, treat for shock. In the engine room, Chief Engineer Luis Ramirez assessed the damage. Their FTL drive is completely fried, he reported to the captain. We can restore basic power and life support, but they won't be going anywhere on their own. Prepare for towing, Alan decided. We'll take them to Nexus 9 with us. The Vrexian. Captain, a female named Zexalara, met with Alan in the medical bay of the Horizon 2. Why did you help us? She asked directly. After what our people did to your world? Alan looked at her steadily. Because it was the right thing to do. Your people may have attacked us, but that doesn't mean we abandon scientists in need. Most species would seek revenge, Zexalara noted, especially predator species. We're not predators, Alan said, echoing words that had been spoken during the Earth defense. We're survivors, and part of survival is knowing when to fight and when to help. 3 days later, the Horizon 2 arrived at Nexus 9, towing the damaged Vrexian vessel. The sight of a human warship bringing rescued Vrexians created a sensation throughout the station. In the Grand Council chamber, now rebuilt after the Maraxian attack months earlier, Captain Alan Reeves stood before the gathered representatives of 17 civilizations. Supreme Counselor John spoke first. Captain Reeves, you were dispatched to represent Earth at the formal treaty signing, yet you delayed your mission to rescue a vessel belonging to the very species that attacked your world. Explain your reasoning. Alan stood tall, his uniform crisp despite the days of emergency operations. Supreme Counselor, members of the Council, I acted as any human would. We do not abandon those in need regardless of past conflicts. This is not weakness, as some might think. It is our strength. The Vrexian representative rose. The Vrexian Empire acknowledges the debt we owe to Earth. When our ships were in peril, when our scientists faced death, humans came to our aid despite our past aggression. This is not the behavior of prey nor of predators. It is something new to our understanding. One by one, other council members spoke, many expressing amazement at human behavior. Finally, Supreme Counselor John raised his hands for silence. The Council has deliberated and created a new classification, he announced. Earth and its inhabitants will be recognized as Deathworld Guardians, beings who have not only mastered survival in harsh conditions, but who use that strength to protect rather than dominate. As the council session ended, Alan was approached by Zexalara and several other Vrexians. We wish to learn from humans, the Vrexian scientist said. Not your technology, but your... She struggled for the right word. Humanity. Alan smiled. We have much to learn from each other. That's what exploration is all about, not conquering new worlds, but understanding them. As the USS Horizon prepared for its journey home, news of its actions spread throughout the galaxy. On 100 worlds, beings looked toward the spiral arm containing Earth with new understanding. The Deathworld had produced not monsters, but guardians. And the galaxy would never be the same again. End.